Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel, and you're stopping in to see a craft with me. I purchased this Keep It Simple, Once Upon a Time die cut pieces with Belle on it, and I'm going to be making a birthday card with have an enchanted birthday ephemera. So I wanted to go through and pick a few pieces that would go with the sentiment, and I like this one with her magical friends around her. So we'll pick her up. That I thought this would be cute and do an overlay. We're going to do a shadow box. So let's have the beast in the corner and has the gold roses in it. I don't see a Cogworth in there. And I don't see any gold roses in here. Enchanting. We have a regular rose. Well, here's a gold rose. Then maybe I'll snag this gold star. And this gold star. Maybe this piece. She is already in the sentiment itself. Oh, we know the mirror is enchanted. And we could have Mrs. Potts popped out more. We'll see. We'll see. But those are the pieces I've picked. I made a standard A2 size front. And I'm going to be cutting out the middle. So I'll put this phone on the rack and let you follow along. So I have the back side here. It's not going to be perfect. I had 4. I'm going to leave 1 solid and cut 3 different frames. I measured a 1/2 inch out and made this cut mark. So I know this is where I need to, this is about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to line this up. Make sure it's parallel to the paper. Make sure this is mostly a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to start from the 1/2 inch and cut to 4 or 5 inch, because this is 5.5 inches long. So start at the 1/2 inch and it shifted a little. So I need to press downward, not onto the ruler. And then cut to the 5. Oh, I went a little bit over, but that's okay. And then that's pretty straight. A little bit more shallow, but that's okay. And then that is about the 1/2 mark. This is 4 1/4 long, so I'm going to do 3 3/4 with this line. And then over here, I'm making sure this looks to be like a 90-degree angle, and so this is too. So I'm going to actually measure. Yeah, so this is where it goes. So right where I ended. So again, this is 5.5 inches. So I'm going to start at 1 or 1/2 inch and then cut down to the 5-inch line. And then and see how this is a little bit curved. I'm not going to get caught up on every single detail. It's a handmade card for a friend, you know. And so it's just for fun. So we're just going to cut along here. So oh no. I tore a little bit on the white sheet, so I'm going to go through and make another line. So I'm just gonna cut this white piece out and have it go slightly at an angle. So as you can see, it's not perfectly round, and I hope I had you in frame most of the part, but it's whimsical. So let's grab a card base and add this. Let's see if I have one. Here we go. Looks like I'm gonna trim a little bit off of here, but that's okay. So add a bit of tape just so that it sticks in place a little bit. You can, of course, put as much glue or adhesive as that you want to. So I'm just going to kind of massage it as my youngest daughter says her art teacher says to do, or burnishing. So there is a little tiny strip here, so I'm going to trim that. And I made sure that it wasn't at the full before I started cutting. So I could do white foam tape and it'd be fine, but I do have some dark blue foam tape or foam that I'm just going to use. So and then so I'm just going to cut tiny strips just to make it pop, and I'm going to do some that thin, someone a little bit thicker, because my edges are a little bit crazy. So I'm gonna put the most narrow one in the back, or maybe the most even looking one. No, I'll put the most narrow one in the front. So to make, since I'm choosing this to be my outside one, I'm going to want it to be a little bit more even, and this side is a tad bit thicker than the other pieces, so I'm gonna just cut it a sliver more. And crafting is just supposed to be fun. Sometimes if I worry about how perfect it looks, it drives me a little bit crazy, and then it just does not become fun. So I more go with the flow, try to do a good job. Eventually, you know, eventually skill's gonna kick in, right? Possibly. So this is gonna be my most outer layer, and I do want her to be up front and center for this. So I'm gonna put this one over here. Which one's I'm gonna put the most messed up one in the back. It's gonna be whimsical. So I'll flip this over, and this is my Barely Arts glue. So I'm choosing the blue just so that it blends in a tiny bit more. And they have foam tape that comes in all different colors. So you could have foam tape for this if you wanted. But I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to have it. Maybe I'm going to have it be the outer frame for this. It's okay to let it dry a little bit because it will become tacky. So I'm going to put a little more on this corner. If you ever feel like you just have a big dot, then you just spread it out. Do a slightly thicker one, and then I'm going to have a thinner one on back up. And I'm going to go in here and just eye it. And I'm going to put a second strip here. they're wanting to curl, so I'm just gonna tuck it underneath my mat and put it in, and then do this one. So let's take this thicker piece. I'll just go through and glue all of these on. So mm, that on. And then this will be the most top. So we're gonna, I'm gonna put a few of these pieces that I cut off here on the bottom. And use those, and I'll cut a few more. So this will be the last frame. And then, so I'm going to make sure these two didn't get stuck together. But you can kind of tell that they're already hardening up. So we're going to give those two a break and just lay them flat so that they can dry a little bit more over there. And then, so we have the pieces here, and this is the hollow edge that they'll be on. So let's do, so I might be able just to go across with this in the back. Let's have Beast in the background. And he can be out on the frame, but not too much. Something like that. And since he's all about that mirror, we'll have this floating here. And let's do a red rose because it's all about the red rose. Maybe we'll do it on the second layer. And then we can have this popping up. And we'll have, let's do Cogsworth here on one of the inner layers. And then have, oh, I had a separate Belle. Separate tiny Belle that I was going to put on here. Where did she go? I knocked her off somewhere. I'll find her, but she'll be part of the last bit. So you know, I am going to even just put this on right here in the middle. Yeah. I'll go through and I think I want this thicker side on this side because we're going to put Beast on this side. Or would I want the Beast with the more stable? Yeah, let's do that. Let's have, since I plan on putting the Beast in the background, let's have this over here. So, remember, I'm not too worried about it not being perfect either. So, oh, also the other tape glue that I do will do this. Trying a new one out. This is Home and Hobby, and I'm not sure. I got it as part of a drawing, but it's not working, but that's okay. We will just go with the glue. So all I'm worried about right now is just making sure that that outside frame matches up with the base. So I think that looks pretty good. And then kind of get an idea. She'll be here. Oh, maybe. Oh, I wish I would have. Can I lift this up? No. Okay. So he is going to be. We're going to kind of have him this way, so that he's not covering up words. Sounds good? I think it sounds good. So we know that he's going to touch here and here. And let's give him a little extra support. So this hard glue will harden up and give it more structure too. So we'll say his foot and ponytail or bow will be out. So I'm going to give him a little more glue around his foot. So I just cut out a little chunk. And then just for a little more structural base. And then I'm going to cut fussy cut, right along this ephemera piece so that he has a little more structure when he's going across. And then I'm even gonna give this piece a little bit of a spine. And here's another little piece I'm gonna give for his head. Does it seem weird? Absolutely. But will it work? Yes. So, especially since he'll only be touching along his arm to his ponytail to here, right? So, this is where his foot's going to go. And then I'm going to just put glue here. It's going to hide whatever we do. And then the tip of his tail will even get some base. So we'll do this. So this way he's not really covering up the words. He's touching in 3 different spots. So along here, the tip of his tail and his foot. Belle will cover his foot in a little bit. And If I wanted to, I could still put a foam piece underneath since he's so close to the background, but I'm not going to worry about it. This does cover up most of Lumiere and his little maid friend, but I'm not too worried about it. And then let's have this piece popping out more. Yeah. Um, this you can kind of really tell that it's not set, so. Sorry, I was gluing off camera. And here we go for this one. So this one I'm going to have Cogsworth here. Let's add this cute little banner right here. Oh, I need to trim it. And let's have an enchanted rose going here. And then I'm going to hold this for a second since it's leaning out so far. And then maybe I'll do a tiny little star. Well, that might be cute on the absolutely outside. Just don't know where I put that little bell that I had 3D here. But, okay. So, we have Cogsworth and this little rose here on this side. I wish this had more gold roses on the edges, but I don't love that. This seems like a lot of white right here, so I'm gonna trim a little more of this white out. Let's add it right here. So now I'm going to add Belle to this one too, because we're going to have the third Belle that's in front. So let's do the structural, make her a little bit thicker. I don't want it to be so detailed that I have to fussy cut in great detail, but so I kind of just go through and cut it kind of at an angle and not cut the ephemera. So, or try not to. Sometimes that happens. But so with that, I'll get this all here. And we could have done the same thing for Beast, right? Do you know what I think might even be cool? If we added a little... I'm going to add a piece of foam right here. So it's popped backwards. And then I'm going to add this. And we're going to make this a rose be floating midair. Back behind her. So, yeah, I like that. So now I'll go through and we'll add... Hey! Oh no! Okay, crazy time, but my daughter came back with some kind of skin irritant from the woods. So, this is the next day, and I started working on this card and completely forgot I recorded it. But I followed up with 2 layers. I didn't add the third frame because I didn't really want to cover up all the roses and mirrors more. And I added glitter. So I tried to spell her name here, and you can see it if you open it slightly or see it at the right angle, but we do our best, right? And then this is the leftovers I'm giving her and her beautiful box in my messy office. So have a great night. Bye.